for the Dallas Cowboys. I mentioned this is entering your 36th season as owner for the Dallas Cowboys. How much time do you walk around feeling like you have left? You alluded earlier to Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and looking ahead and thinking ahead, Micah Parsons and others. But that's somebody speaking about the luxury of time. I've seen you in the past you've quoted yourself, I don't have much time. What's your mentality like right now?
Well, I had a great friend, and his motto I'm going to borrow, and that's that I don't have time to have a bad time. It ain't on my schedule.
Right. Schedule.
And so, having said that, I can
sounds
count.
like Michael Irvin, but I'm not going to say that was him. But it sounds like him.
Let's give it to Michael.
Let's give it to Michael. Right.
But still, I can count, and I will say this: I was involved in a medical issue about 10 years ago, and the radiologist came in, and I was in under an assumed name in this hospital, not my name. And he said, Mr. Chambers, he said, I just wanted to meet you. And he said, you have the brain of a 30-year-old. And I said, my wife was sitting in there. I said, you get that, honey? I said, I want you to listen to that good, and you other doctors. And I haven't let them up about it since that particular time. Now, I don't know about that. I'm busier than I have ever been. I get to do more exciting things than I ever have. There's no question, Stephen, that this team, I could have never, ever guessed it. When I bought the Cowboys, was living a dream. I got to do something that I'd thought about a better part of my adult life. And there was nothing that hurt me at the time. I got sued. I had 3 $1 billion lawsuits hit me at the same time I bought the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow. In 1989?
In 1989, 90, and 91. And it was like I was Jimmy Brown running, and they're bouncing off of me. Yeah, I was worried about getting the Cowboys solvent and getting them to where they'd work. I knew easily some of the pitfalls that were out there. But it caused me to really try things, and it caused me to do some things, and they worked. And I said, man, I'll do that again, and I'll do that again. And the bottom line is, and it's an inspiration for me on Follow Your Passion, I could have never been anything that I've been involved in over the last 30 years had it not been for the Cowboys. It made me something that I was not, and caused me to have some confidence, caused me to try things, caused me to really be around inspirational people. I love this stuff. And it has inspired me, and consequently, here I am, 82, and the busiest I've ever been in my life.
The busiest you've ever been, obviously the most, noted owner in the sport, most popular owner in the sport, if not the world of sports. Nobody debates that, but they do look at the fact that it's entering 29 years since you guys have played in an NFC Championship game or gotten to a Super Bowl. Now, here's what I've said. I've looked at numerous rosters you've put together, and I said, damn it, they got the talent. He did his job there. The critique, however, I would throw in 7 head coaches since you last won the Super Bowl, and only 5 playoff wins in that span. You hear that number, you hear those stats. What comes through your mind? How do you feel?
The big thing that I'm disappointed in is that I got a chance to have a player on the Cowboys at the same time, Tony Romo, and we didn't get a Super Bowl. Now, that's a shortcoming. What did I not do that contributed to that?
2-4 in the playoffs, his record.
And my point is, yes, disappointing, but you really can't do, for me, what I do if you don't go over and dwell on at the same time you're evaluating your shortcomings, you got to reach over and grab you a little of the good things that have happened to you. And I truly have had it so good in my lifetime. I've had great parents. I've been around some of the greatest friends in the world. People have enabled me. My best thing is that I've had 10 different people in my lives give me grace, forgive me, give me grace, help me. When you got all of that, fussing about not winning a Super Bowl last year, I want to clear you out of the way. Lightning's going to strike me. I've had it too good. Now, that's how I do it. That doesn't suffice for the responsibility I feel to our fans and to the people that are great sports folks and great fans. But I will say this, it gives me a lot of resolve. No one that knows me would think that you take any of these evaluations about sports teams, and I say that almost sounding condescending, and I'm not. Take anything tangible, valuable. No one would understand more than the people around me that I'd give all that for a first down at the right time. I'd give it all for a touchdown at the right time, or certainly a win, much less in a championship game or a Super Bowl. Nothing has changed. I was stupid. I took a bigger risk than anybody I've ever heard about to get to be involved in the NFL and football. So I didn't get here for money. I didn't come for money. I came here to win.
But you also, this is what it has had people just a bit, perplexed. I don't know what the right word for it, a bit befuddled. You come into the National Football League. You take the chances you took. What's one of the first things you did? You got rid of Tom Landry.
Yep.
You took a big risk. You brought in Jimmy Johnson. The world was against you. And you won. But some people thought you held on to Jason Garrett too long. Other people look at you with Mike McCarthy now. They're wondering if you're holding on to him too long. Bill Belichick was out there in the open market this past season. 6-time Super Bowl champion. They look at you. Tony Romo, you loved him to death, all right? You wanted to hold on to him too long. I mean, Dak basically got that by default because if Tony Romo was healthy enough and could play, Dak Prescott wouldn't have been starting this rookie year. You wasn't having that because as much love as you have for Tony Romo. There's evidence that the same Jerry Jones, who was a shrewd businessman and did whatever it took to win, hasn't necessarily been the same guy in that regard when it comes to certain members of his personnel that he has an affection for. What do you say to that?
Well, two things. I'm glad you didn't mention Lucille or Juanita because you've done your homework on me.
Okay.
I'm impressed
well, thank you so
that
much.
very much.
Right.
But having, along those points, same person, same guy that was sitting here that bought the Cowboys, same guy that, Paul Tagliabue asked me one time after we'd won our Super Bowls, he said, would you head a committee to coach up owners on how to hire coaches? You've done so well that I'd like for you to head the committee. And I said, Commissioner, I need to be out in the audience. I've run out of teammates. I don't know how to hire a coach.
Right.
And so I was cutting and shooting. And you're absolutely right. Ignorance can be bliss at times. And certainly Coach Landry, I made certainly a PR mistake, but probably he had many years that he could have been a great coach in the future for the NFL. And far be it from me to even judge that. But here is the point. The same thing, the very same thing that made those decisions there, make them now. The only thing is that I would say that I haven't taken the risks of the magnitude of the risks that I took early. I've slowed down on that risk part of it a little bit.
Because?
I like what we're doing with our philosophy of developing young players. Now that hadn't been here for the last 30 years, but it's certainly been here for the last 5 or 10 years. The salary cap has altered the way that I look and rationale putting a team together. Okay. That salary cap. Sometimes some of the same thing. You know, different people have input when you move a general manager in and out. And frankly, we've had owners move in and out of the NFL as well.
Right.
Different people look at this lay of the land different than I do. And so the idea that I'm going to be living with whatever I do 12 years from now, 10 years from now, that idea may have impacted the decisions that I make today. I'm sure they have. And so I can look and say the same guy's doing it, the same guy willing to change that guy in the mirror. Stephen, I have made so many mistakes, period, in my day. I've made them. And I know that most people do make mistakes, but I've made some that took me years to recover from. And so there's no sure thing in those decisions. I do feel, and this may be where the rub comes, I don't feel at that level of decision making for this team, for this situation, is there's someone better than me. I don't. To think, though, that I don't change philosophy regarding our football team is wrong.
Well, I agree with that, and I totally believe you when you say that, but I would say in terms of, I know that you will modify, you will try to change, but you're the owner, you're the president, you're the GM, you run the show, you make the decisions. If somebody was in the position that you're in, but they answered to you, and they went 28 seasons without making it to a conference championship game, let alone the Super Bowl, what would you do?
Well, I would say the one most responsible for it is the guy they're answering to, me. And that's what I've said from the very beginning. There's no slipping away from it. The buck stops. It does stop. It stops right here. And that doesn't mean much if it's just for show. Or that doesn't mean much if there's not some tears and some sweat and blood that goes with it.
What about those who argue it's not a consequence because at the end of the day, you're not going to remove yourself, so you don't really have to pay the price for whatever mistakes you make because you're not getting rid of you, as most of us wouldn't get rid of ourselves?
Well, of course. But that is absent a little deal called paying that price. You think for 1 minute that the way our season ended last year, there isn't anybody on this earth that bothered any more than me? No one. There's been no one that looks back that really can live with how long it's been since we've been with the Super Bowl. Do you think that I literally do go in here and say, well, but how many people have won 3 Super Bowls? Okay, do you think I say, of course I do not.
Right.
I do not say that. I look at it as that was then, this is now. But I do look at it that way, in that sense that 10 years ago, we obviously didn't win a Super Bowl. We had a different coach. That was then, this is now. Let's go do it now. Now, I've done this and things away from football all my life. And I have discarded, I have gone in different directions, and I've gone in different businesses. The guy in the mirror is the man that I change